Madame Miriam Mboya.
I am doing great, Ali. It's nice sunny morning and I can't complain.
It is my
Yeah.
great pleasure, myself, and to welcome you here to at Kidodi podcast live, jointly live from Seattle, Washington, while you are in Oregon, in Portland, I believe, Oregon. Is that correct?
Yeah. Portland, Oregon this morning for campaign festivities.
Well, it is great honor to be with you, and today is a day to welcome to my studio here, and we are going to cover a lot of subject regarding to is a Miriam Mboya. Who is a Miriam Mboya to my fellow citizen of Africa as well as Pacific Northwest? First and foremost, I would like to introduce to my audience who is Miriam Mboya. Miriam Mboya is a woman of dedication, native of Kenya, originally born in Kenya, immigrated to United States age of 6 years old in Pacific Northwest. She went to school here in Pacific Northwest, and then she graduated in master's, first of all, as a communication, and also she has a master in political science. That's correct, Madame Miriam Mboya.
So a bachelor's in political science and then a master's in communication.
Master in communication. That's very exciting education. And today, Miriam Mboya is here today to discuss about her campaign, why she's into campaign to become one of the candidates of the contest of election of King County election of District 2 here in Washington State. Please welcome Madame Miriam Mboya to my studio. First and foremost, what is your main ambitions as a Miriam Mboya? And objective
So I would say, sorry.
Go ahead, madam.
Yes. So I think when you ask what is my ambition, I think I'm a bit cautious to use the word ambition.
Okay.
It's just when I'm running for this particular seat, because I arose to run for it, not so much out of ambition or because it's a dream, but I saw it was a need, right? Here I am as a resident for this district for many years. I grew up in Skyway, and I've been a resident of Capitol Hill, went to school in Seattle U. So I've seen this neighborhood over the last 10 years shift. And being also a county employee for the last 7 years, I have seen areas that we can definitely help improve this district. And not just this district, but also the county. Because right now, as we look at King County, and a lot of folks are aware, we have been having budgeting situations that we as taxpayers and residents of District 2 sometimes are having a hard time understanding what is happening when you have a $20 billion biannual budget and there's still more taxes being requested from taxpayers every year, more levies. And we are not seeing improvements on issues like homelessness, crisis for individuals that are houseless at the moment. And so when I saw what's happening and I look at what's happening on the internal side of things, which a lot of residents are not aware, I saw it was time for us to have somebody in King County Council chambers that is from the inside the county government, because that's the individual that's able to bridge this gap that we're seeing with the discrepancies of the finances that are not being accounted for and what the residents are hearing, the taxpayers. And so that's why I decided to get into this race, because myself, I'm an exhausted taxpayer, right? And when you have to pay HOA dues every year more and more, or your property taxes, and we still have to cover mortgages, it's not fair to us just being asked for more, but we're not seeing more from our government. So I am running to make sure that residents, these taxpayers like myself, are seeing a return into what they're giving into the government, and for them to understand and to remember that they are government and they have a right to hold any government accountable because they're giving their tax dollars. you know, and so they have a right to ask, hey, what are you doing with the money that we're giving you? You just keep asking me for more and more.
Thank you, Madam, for your details. It's very
Yeah.
exciting to see how you've been involved in King County for the last 9 years. That's correct. 9 years.
Not 9 years, 7 years as an internal employee, but I've lived in King County for more than 10 years.
Okay, and mostly your life you're
Yes.
living in this District 2, correct?
District 2, absolutely. Grew up in Skyway and went to school in Capitol Hill, and I've been living in Capitol Hill for a while.
Okay, let me moving on to this very, it is not actually a sensitive question. As a first Kenyan immigrants in Pacific Northwest and women, how you feel yourself become a candidate on this position and plan this contest of campaign?
So, you know, for me, being a Kenyan is great, and I appreciate it. It's a great heritage to have roots in. I think when I got into this race, as much as I'm a Kenyan, you know, I got in it for everybody. I got in it to make sure that everybody, irrespective of their ethnic background or nationality, that they feel that they are included in the society that they live in. Because I tell people, if you are paying taxes, right, and whether that means you're going to a grocery store and you buy something, you're paying taxes on that. And what you're doing by paying taxes, you're telling your government, I am going to contribute financially because I believe in your capability to deliver in areas like infrastructure, to help the individuals that are going through the houseless situations. Now we call it the homelessness crisis, to make sure that affordability is something that is practical and doable within our county and our district. And so yes, when I got into this, it's for everybody. I want everybody to know that as I am running, as I sit in that King County Council chamber, I am their voice. I am there to be a voice for each and every single person, because I believe nobody wants to keep paying more and more, and yet again not see results. And that's what I'm fighting for.
You know why I'm asking you as in Kenyans?
Yeah.
It's not actually, I'm highlight your history and your background. I'm so proud of you as a first woman of color, particularly from East Africa. And we are proud of you to become one of the candidates. And that's why we are here to cover this discussion today. Well, that's fine. King County is one of the bigger county in Washington State.
Right.
King County is a major county in Washington State, which contribute big numbers of population and vast of ethnic background and cultural and diversity. What is your focus to appeal to voters at your District 2 as a candidate right now? Can you explain to our voters here, what is your main focus as a King County candidate?
Yes, first, let me thank you for highlighting that King County and District 2 in particular actually is one of the most diverse districts within the county. And King County itself is quite diverse. And I am looking, my priorities for this district are going to be gun violence prevention, because especially in my district, growing up and even now, we see a lot of cases where there is gun violence tend to emerge from my district. And so I believe there needs to be more investment of resources to community members, to residents, educational resources, that is, you know, working closely with the Office of Regional Gun Violence Prevention at King County, and wanting to make sure that, one, you know, residents have gun permits, and that we as government, also together in partnership with the City of Seattle, we are making it easier for residents to have permits, so that we're not having a lot of residents without permits for their guns. And so when people don't have that, that may create a path for most young people we're seeing that are ending up in the situations with shootouts, having access to these machines that they shouldn't have access to. So we want to encourage that transparency from our residents with the support of government, because that's our job. Second, the homelessness crisis that we have. Really, a lot of people tend to say it's not a solvable issue, myself, I've experienced homelessness. And so I know the approach that needs to be taken. Also, given my expertise, one as a political scientist by training, and as an internal staff who has watched the budget closely, and especially as it relates to the King County Regional Housing Authority that has had issues. We just saw recently there was missing $13 million, which as a taxpayer is really painful to hear. And so making sure there's accountability and that the resources and the solutions that we have for this issue, they're not temporary, that we're looking for permanent solutions to this, and that with it targeting the core and the root cause of this crisis, because everybody that's facing homelessness is not facing homelessness just because of lack of affordability. There are other factors like mental health situations, lack of resources for veterans, and so want to make sure that as a county we take that responsibility, that we're meeting everybody where they are and walking that journey of being able to going back to contributing back to society. I am also, focusing on affordability when it comes to housing, especially for my district. There needs to be an increase of affordable housing stock, and there needs to be a balance of how much these private companies are building within the district and how much housing the government is able to provide for my residents or our residents in this district. So making sure that that's doable, and also when it comes to childcare, making sure the Best Start for Kids subsidy that is there for residents, that cap is increased. I believe right now, unless anything has changed, you have to be two individuals that are making $80,000 to qualify. And so I want us to push that to $90,000 to $100,000, given inflation and the standard of living that has shifted so much, And so those are some of the things that I'm looking to tackle, and make sure that residents feel that their tax dollars are working for them. I think the key for me here is making sure these tax dollars are going back to our residents. They're not being wasted, and they're not being allocated based on the opinion of government leaders. They're being allocated based on the input of residents. And so, and I'm also looking forward to making sure that immigrant neighbors and community members also feel welcomed in this district, because they contribute greatly to our economy. They contribute greatly to the diversity that we have and the richness and the beauty that exists within the county as a whole. So those are some of the issues, among many other issues, that I'm going to be focusing on as a council member.
Yeah, well and good, Madam Miriam. It's very detailed. Voters want to hear from you. Let me adding one question to you. As you mentioned many times, that homelessness is one of the major issues in our King County, including District 2 as well. Do you believe there is an inadequate budget right now for King County to solve these problems?
There's a lot of money. DCHS, which is the department that actually works closely looking at that situation, gets about 17% of the county budget. The county budget is $20 billion biannual budget, $20 billion. Okay, so those are hundreds of millions of dollars that are being allocated, right, for this this crisis. And so to me, when I look at it from the inside and from my expertise and from my experience, we really need to reallocate some of these funds and prioritize differently. We cannot solve this issue from a place of theory. We really need a lot of people with lived experience also having a voice in how we're going to tackle and approach this issue. That's one of the reasons why I'm running for office. Because we can theorize the solution to this all we want, but as long as we don't have people who have had this experience and have overcome it, then it's going to be very difficult for us to have a solution.
And who is mostly having issues or homelessness? If you look at the King County, as I said earlier, is more diversity of different ethnic background.
Right.
What do you think about who is mostly affected getting all these services? Is minority, is it Black people, Latinos, or what else do you think?
So I don't have
behind of these kind of situations.
Yes. So of course I don't have.
I want to hear from you.
Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead to answer that question.
So what happens is a lot of times I don't have the exact data, so I want to be cautious because I always want to make sure I present data as I speak. If I'm going to mention anything that does touch on that, so being able to give on demographics can be challenging. But one thing I can tell you from being a staff at the county and just myself having had that experience in the past, we often find that individuals that come from marginalized backgrounds tend to experience homelessness at a higher rate than other populations. And so, you know, that's what I would say for that, until I have that exact data that's produced at the county level. And I'm able to say this percentage is coming from these demographics, but overall, what we've seen over time is that most people that come from communities that are often marginalized tend to experience homelessness, and especially because of that piece of affordability. And sometimes also gentrification plays a role, right? You find that people can no longer afford to live in the neighborhoods that they once could afford to live in because the prices have really gone up so high. And so we want to be, as government, I think it's our responsibility, I believe, not I think, I believe, it's our responsibility to be able to bring balance so that every resident feels that they belong and knows that they belong.
Thank you, Madam. It's very detailed and very organized information, which is what I love to hear from you as a candidate today. Let me touching another subject here. If I look yourself, you've been in King County for quite some time as an employee. Your campaign slogan is a 3 major area, as you mentioned: housing stability, public safety, and community health as well, and supporting youth. You decided to foster 3 types. Why, and how do you understand the current problems facing the community of the District 2?
So I think my campaign slogan is leadership based on lived experience. So are you talking about the issues that I'm highlighting? I think.
Yes, I'm talking about the issues mostly. Overall, we have District 2 that you are candidates right now, right? Correct. And your slogan is including leadership, part of the leadership of become a candidate. But also there is another issues also District 2 or King County in general, they're facing, including stability of housing stability is one of the area. Community violence is one of the second problems we have. And thirdly, engagement between county and the District 2 in general. How do you combine all these 3 together as a candidate of the District 2?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Ali. I think I'm having a hard time understanding the approach that you want me to take on this. Yes, please.
Go ahead. Let me rephrase out this question to you. Your campaign slogan is a 3 major area. If I look upon your campaign, housing stability, public safety, and the community health. I crafting this way just to ask you, how do you compare these 3 together to solve the problem of the District 2?
I would say the reason. Let me see if I'm answering the way you're looking. So not the way you're looking, but I just want to make sure that it's coherent, you know, for the audience, the way I'm going to answer this question. I think you're asking what my approach is on this for the district. And I think this goes back to what I was stating, being able to reallocate funds, not from a place of theory, but from a place of practicality. We do have to collaborate with our residents. Their voice does need to be included in the decisions that we're making when it comes to deciding, when it comes to public safety, what is of priority and what is important. As a government leader, I cannot sit down, Ali, and dictate that in public safety, I am going to prioritize this particular issue. Yet I've not had a conversation, I've not had a town hall with community members to hear what is your concern. And so taking their concern and bringing my expertise and experience, right, and saying, okay, this is a concern, and I also have to go myself in the district, right, and interact and see and watch and be able to say, you know what, this is a consensus that we have reached. Myself as your voice, as your leader, right? Because to me, being a leader means being a voice to a people. That's why you get elected, because you're supposed to represent their interest. And so being able to listen to them, hear them, and being able to have a dialogue with my fellow residents and saying, this is the decision we're going to make, and this is the approach that we are going to have on this particular issue. And then we take that approach and we watch as the approach takes place and the solutions are in place, and see, okay, this is how we needed to take care of the situation. But I, as a leader, I don't intend, or I don't think that just having an idea and implementing it is the answer to a lot of these issues. For me, I want to be able to work with my fellow residents in town halls for us to have a dialogue and to come up to a conclusion, a consensus that this is how we're going to approach this.
Thank you, Madam. My listeners, today you hear from Madam Miriam is here with me here as a candidate of District 2, supporting the campaign of Madam. She is one of the best candidates for the District 2. My fellow Pacific Northwest, support and vote for Madam Miriam. Let's continue our discussion. Let me cover something about historical background of yourself. Grew up here in Pacific Northwest, age of 6. Through your historical background, you show powerful pain.
I grew up in Skyway, yeah.
Growing in Skyway, that's correct? Skyway? You grow up in Skyway? And facing instability of housing issue alongside with your mother, how those moments shape you decision to run for King County Council of District 2. You grew up that time at the age of 6, correct? So can you tell the audience, if anybody has that kind of issues as you experienced before yourself?
Okay. So, for me growing up in a marginalized community, a community that felt often overlooked by government, right? You can look at the infrastructure then, and you would see, this place does not have a voice at the table. And I think growing up, as a young Black woman in these neighborhoods where there were gang activities, gang violence, and just really not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel a lot of times, and feeling confined to a particular reality, and feeling as if your surrounding was all life had to offer. And then you grow up a little bit more and you're exposed. That experience for me is the experience that I want us to avoid any neighborhood, irrespective of your race, irrespective of your financial status, being able to experience. I believe, we live in a nation where opportunities should be for everybody. And so I want to make sure that there's equity. There is equity for each and every single individual. Again, irrespective of where you're coming from. And so that experience for me growing up definitely taught me that equity is not always a reality. And even now, it's not a reality to every community that lives within the county. And so my run, in addition to other reasons as to why I jumped into this race, is to make sure that there is equity, that someone from Skyway and Bellevue can be able to have similar experiences in terms of what is available for them as far as government provision is concerned.
Madam, my audience and voters who intending to vote for you, they understood you exactly.
Right.
Equity and inclusions is a very essential point. That's correct? And then you want to make some changes.
I definitely intend to make a lot of changes. And again,
elected,
that is going to be centered on equity and making sure that our county government is really centered around people. It's not just a few quote unquote elites, because what we see a lot of times in government, it's almost like it's a gathering of the few elites that make decisions for the masses. I really want to be a part of this individuals, leaders that dismantle that. And people to understand that when you elect a leader, that leader is accountable to you. You have a right to ask any question and receive an answer. Political leaders serve at the pleasure of their district residents or just residents in general. It's not the residents existing at the pleasure of the politicians. It doesn't work like that. That's
Absolutely.
not what democracy is supposed to be. Democracy is supposed to be government for the people, by the people. So, and that's what I'm encouraging people. Be careful when you're electing career politicians, because career politicians are about climbing that ladder. Elect people you know are going to be your voice. If a person cannot identify with what you're going through, that person cannot be your voice. Empathy, yes, and I hope so. And I say empathy is birthed out of experience. Empathy is not birthed out of me picking up a book. I'm a political scientist by training. So, I could not allow myself to run for this office just because I'm a political scientist. I had to make sure that my lived experience is the experience of a lot of people in this district, and that because I've made it, from, a lot of difficulties, that they too can have a path to be able to make it out of those difficulties.
Thank you very much. And your historical background is very unique for my note here that I learned from you. You've been in a long way from 6 years old. You live in that district. You experienced a lot of anxiety at that time, especially housing issue that time. That's correct, if I can recall.
So that was a little bit more later when I actually graduated from college, because graduating in Capitol Hill, really rent really high, and at the time income was not really high either. And so I lived in what we call the apartments, right? Apartments are these micro apartments, and that's what I could afford. And even as a King County staff at the time, and so I had this experience of what facing affordability issue, crisis and issue is, especially for residents, for those individuals that just don't have enough, and the prices keep going high. And that's one of the reasons why I support being able to regulate our landlords, of course, with balance, to make sure that you can't just wake up today and decide that I'm going to hike your rent. There needs to be balance, but also need to be able to also make sure that also our government is being considerate to our landlords also. So I think it's a balance of making sure that everybody's taken care of, the tenant and the landlord, that nobody's being abused in the process.
Let me touch one base question here. This is a supplementary question, Madam Miriam Mboya. This comes to me. How you can be able to tackle issue related to the job opportunity while you are doing a campaign right now, and there is not issue related to the housing itself, but also there is a job opportunity in your district. How you can be able to foster this into while you are doing a campaign. I would like to know your plan to supporting minority, either minority or majority. You are there for all of us. Tell me how the job opportunity, how is your plan?
So first, when we talk about job opportunities, we one of my biggest areas that I'm looking to focus on is individuals that have been previously incarcerated, people that have spent time in jail. We know in this system, when you spend time in jail, even after you've paid your dues to society by serving time, when you come out of that facility, your life shifts for the worse. Matter of fact, if you speak to a lot of individuals experiencing homelessness, they have a background, criminal background. There needs to be a partnership. I'm looking for us to have a partnership between the state of Washington and King County in doing what we call expunging some of these cases. If you've already done your time and you've paid your due to society, there is no reason those consequences should be following you to the point where they deny you the ability to be able to be a contributing member to society. Because at some point, down the line, you will end up having to be a person that is supported by taxpayers. And we'll end up asking for taxpayers to increase how much they're paying their taxes in order to take care of you. So the easiest way for us to prevent that and to take care of that situation is to make sure if you've served your time and you or have gone through a process of reform, we begin to a process of expunging some of those records to make sure that you have opportunities and that you can reintegrate back into society and contribute, being able to have a job, an opportunity of your dream, or just of your desires. And so that's one of the ways. I'm also looking for the county to partner with local businesses, especially for the young people, our youth, in that they're not just coming from school straight home, especially minorities. Because a lot of minorities, when we look, myself growing up in a house of minorities, mom may have 2 jobs. Dad may not be present. Some of the dads are incarcerated. I grew up with a father that was constantly incarcerated, so there was no stability there. So making sure that when you leave school, there's an internship somewhere that prepares you for your future and also provides you like a little stipend, something to motivate you to keep going and to keep you out of trouble. So that also we're not having a lot of young people experiencing youth incarceration, right? Youth detention. And I think that's a good way to prepare folks for job opportunities. Also, King County currently we have what we call work source, and we do help people find jobs with local organizations and corporations. But what I would want to see is an increase in the budget to making sure that those resources are more available to all people and that communities are aware. I think one of the issues I've seen, especially as a King County staff internally, is that we have so many resources, but we don't, as a government, we don't often take these resources to the communities themselves. We ask them to come and show up at our offices, which is great. But we have to understand, if you're trying to solve a problem, if you're trying to bring a solution, we do have to be the solution that goes and penetrates into the communities. You cannot serve a community that you don't have boots on the ground. And I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about our current executive, Gamai Zahale, who's very intent on making sure that we do have boots on the ground to understand what is happening within these different communities. So that's how I look to being able to take care of that job situation, and making sure that people have opportunities for employment. But again, we do have to deal with the roots as to why they don't have those opportunities.
Okay, are you going to standing and advocate all these areas? You sure exactly? Voters would like to hear from you. Are you going to stand for an advocacy? Because issue of unemployment is not actually when someone is serving a prison time, getting out of the prison time has a record. There's a lot of people become homeless because of that situation. People become homeless because of marriage problems. Divorces happen between couples and become homeless. We need someone like you to standing and advocate these issues in order for people to live peacefully and love among themselves. District 2, do you believe District 2 has a lot of problem of this kind or at the moment?
Yes, housing affordability is a big problem, again, because of what we call gentrification. And so that's why I'm fighting to make sure that we increase affordable housing stock in District 2 so that residents that have lived there can be able to continue living there. I have been going around churches. I think one of the ways to know what's happening with the population, Black churches have been one of the areas that I've gone into, and even white churches, and I'm learning a lot of congregants end up living in different cities, different parts of the county, but they had to move out of District 2 because they cannot afford living there. And so I want to make sure that affordable housing allows these families, irrespective of their racial background, are able to move into this district and enjoy the district they were born in, the district that they grew up in, the districts that they have their grandparents in, right? One of the other issues I'm looking to tackle is the issue of our seniors paying property taxes at a certain rate. You know, I don't believe our seniors should be choosing between their medication and a property tax. It's not fair. That system is not fair, because then you could have seniors that are homeless. And I don't think as a county that is about equity, that is about social justice, should have seniors that are having to face homelessness because we cannot sit down as government and be able to allocate funds enough within the budget that we already have to cover our seniors from having to make that decision of between medication and and having to pay those property taxes.
Thank you. Let me moving on to one of the area of the question here. I think it might be a very controversial one, but I would like to ask you and voters to hear from you. Challenge and accountability. What do you think about King County current government doing to serve people, and how you'll be able to put pressure to change laws and policy when you've been elected the King County District 2? You've been there for quite some time. You know so many rules yourself. Some of the rules are benefited, some of the rules unbenefited. Challenge and accountability of the current government of King County. Can you explain to our voters, and the audience here, how you can be able to pressure the current government of King County?
Okay, so I think pressure may not be the right word, right? Because when you get into King County,
it's not the right word, but how you can be working together. I can use that word.
Yes, yes. And let me just extrapolate a bit on that. What I would say is, being one of the 9 council members in the chambers, I think it's important that my colleagues, as a council member, understand the importance of having the voice of the people centered in the decisions that I make on the legislation side of things. 2 things. One, I've been in King County for 7 years, and I've never seen one council member attend a budget meeting for a department or a division. I would love to see that change. That is something I would love to partake in and encourage my colleagues to partake in, because that allows them to know the documents that they're signing for the final budget, where those funds are being allocated and how, and what those funds are yielding. We cannot continue signing documents, budget documents, when we don't know the money we have allocated, what are the goals, and after we've signed and we've gone through that cycle of budget, have we seen the changes in the where we allocated and invested that money? So with that, I would love to see that coupled with town halls. We need more town halls where county residents, and I intend to do as a council member, have town halls with my District 2 residents, where I am informing them of what's at the table in the county chambers, King County Council chambers. And I want to hear from them, what is your take on this? Do you support or do you not support? And why? And we would make a decision after that dialogue. That is what accountability for government looks like, where residents know what's happening and they are able to contribute. Be able to contribute in that this is the right path, this is not the right path. Because these are I'm there to be their voice. And if I'm there to be their voice, it's my job to call them and to inform them that these are the decisions that are at the table. They cannot be made without your contribution. And that's how we're able to, again, bring accountability to our county government. And at the moment, I don't see a lot of that as a county resident and even as the government internal staff.
Okay. Are you planning to conduct a lot of town meetings?
That's how democracy is supposed to work. Government for the people, by the people. So I cannot just
by the people.
One more time?
Yeah, democracy is by the people, with people.
Exactly. Right? So I cannot be a leader that just makes a decision and I don't include the voices of the people. Then I'm not a leader at that point. I'm a dictator. And we all know how we feel about dictatorship in this nation.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's what people looking forward to vote for you, because you are intending to do something very unique for the District 2 and the King County in particular. Let me touching one base here, another subject. What is more important, Spirit, to keep you motivated during the difficult time of campaign and inspiration of this journey as a candidate right now? I repeat, what is more important to you? And spirits keep you motivated during the difficult time, because you are candidates now, correct? Of the campaign and inspirations of the journey as a candidate. Can you explain to our audience here and the people of King County as well as District 2?
So for me so I have to remember how I grew up. where I grew up, what the experience was like. I don't want another young person to have to experience that. I don't want another resident to have to experience that. I believe when you go through difficulties, it's because you're supposed to make things easier for somebody else. So what keeps me motivated is when I think about the future generation, is when I think about the future of our district. I think about the future of our county government. That's what keeps me motivated. And it is worth the sacrifice. You know, a lot of people think running for office is just you dress up and you shake hands and cameras are on you. No, it is a very challenging experience for every candidate who runs because it's a sacrifice. I still have to keep my 9 to 5 job, right? Because I still have to make a living, pay what I need to pay, food. And so any other time that I have outside of that time is dedicated to being on the campaign trail, meeting residents, listening to them, raising funds for the campaign because you cannot run a campaign without adequate funds. And so the sacrifice for me is worth it when I think about those things that I've just mentioned. And that one day somebody can say, oh my goodness, I am having a better experience. To me, knowing that and seeing that is so worth any sacrifice, any sleep that I have to give up, any financial sacrifice I have to make, because often you do have to get into your own pocket and fund the campaign. So I do it for the sake of those who may not be able to have a voice. I want them to know that they have a voice in this system.
And how is the campaign so far? Your campaign so far? Is that doing very well in terms of appealing to people?
Yes, absolutely.
How people receive you as a person, as a Miriam Mboya?
Yes.
Can you answer that?
Yes, I think the campaign is doing really well. I'm getting a lot of messages. People are seeing the signs all over the district. Yes, we did have to rein in the district in terms of making sure the signs are up and people are aware of this candidacy and just getting people excited. And I think people are excited to see a candidate that is not a career politician in this race and someone that actually identifies with what they're going through. I have not met one resident in King County District 2 so far, for the last this is the 7th month, irrespective of their background, ethnic, racial background, financial status, that has said, Miriam, I don't agree with what you are running. They're excited because people are tired of career politicians. People are tired of voting for people who just want to climb the ladder and not bring the changes that they want to see. And so for me, when they see that I'm a fellow resident that wants to make sure that we have a voice in King County Council chambers, they're super excited. And that in turn makes me excited. It energizes me to keep going. I have not met one person that has said, you know what, I don't believe in what you're standing for, Miriam. Matter of fact, they're very supportive and very encouraging. And so I'm really thankful to be able to be a voice for many people. And especially even with diversity, irrespective again of the background that they're coming from, I feel good when they feel that they have a voice in me and they have a fighter in me for their sake.
Thank you very much, Madam Miriam Mboya. It's very exciting to say you're running as a candidate, not in terms as a political, as a non-political. Your time is to serve the people of District 2 as a I hope you'll be bipartisan, correct, in yourself?
This is a nonpartisan seat. So I tell people, and one of the things I'm telling people, stop getting hung up on Democrat, Republican, Socialist. Stay away from the labels. Let's vote on people based on the work, based on the deliverables. The moment we continue being focused on this party, this ideal, no. Solution to the issue that we are facing are solutions. And that's what we need to focus on. We need to start focusing on, that's how we get distracted as a people. And we're not able to get back what we need to get back from these leaders that we elect. So I'm running for this seat as a nonpartisan candidate, and it's a nonpartisan race anyways. And I think there's so much beauty in that, because to me, irrespective of whatever political party you identify with, I just care about bringing solutions that you feel as a human being. Those are supposed to be the solutions. They serve your humanity.
We are nearly completing our discussion here, and our conversation is very, very productive so far with me and you here. But let me touch another base here. What is your final thought to the people of District 2 and the people of King County to believe on you as a candidate. What is your final thought to the audience and the voters who listen to us today?
Yeah, just for me, I want people to know I am your fellow resident in this district that actually wants to see changes. A lot of you, all fellow residents, you know, some of us, we cannot even keep our packages delivered outside because sometimes you find that our packages are missing. And a lot of times we find, you know, there's a lot of stealing happening, breaking in cars. And we want to give these individuals that are doing these things opportunities. We want to help them to become contributing members of society. And we do that by being able to offer solutions that are practical, not from a place of theory. Incarcerating a person after they steal, yes, they will pay their dues to society. But what beyond that, what do we do so that this person does not go back to that similar lifestyle, right? I think the purpose of incarceration should not just be to punish, that we also need to help people go through reform and have better opportunities. Not that we become enablers of people committing crime, but that we are also meeting them somewhere to make sure there's a balance, right? And to just the goal here being that we want our communities, our society to be livable, right? When you park your car, it's not ideal when you wake up and the windows are broken and maybe what was in there was stolen. And so we want to make sure that parents can be able to report to work because they can afford to go to daycare. These are our tax dollars. Let's decide how do we want to allocate these to individuals that cannot afford daycare so that, you know, the economy continues to roll. You know, one of the things that I was very surprised earlier this year to see was that Washington State, when it does not have a lot of our parents that cannot afford to work and be at home with their children because they can't afford daycare, when those parents are not in the workforce, they usually cost Washington State about $3.5 billion to its economy. So we want to make sure that that $3.5 billion, whatever chunk belongs to a district, you know, is able to be present, and that we have a district where people feel, you know what, my tax dollars are working for me. That's going to be the goal for me as your leader, to make sure that whatever you're giving is actually really working and that your voice is at the center. This is not about me wearing a crown as a King County Council District 2 leader. It's about being a voice to you all and a voice in collaboration, not a voice in isolation of elitism.
Thank you. I hope you'll be bipartisan candidates, and you, when you are elected, you'll be candidate for all of Republican or other Democrat, left or right,
yes,
or independent. You will.
I'm here for humanity. Here for humanity. That's the focus. Yes.
My audience, you hear from Miriam. She's our representative of District 2. Please continue to hear from Miriam through her campaign, and also vote, if you wish to, vote for her to become one of the unique candidates for District 2 for the first time here in King County. Madam Miriam Mboya, it is my great honor to be with you today, and a very exciting discussion, and I look forward and I wish you all the best for your campaign to be successful and to be one of the elected leader for the King County Council in District 2. Any other messages you want to leave me today in my audience and voters who are intending to vote for you for this primary election in August? Any other message you want to leave behind?
Yeah, first, Ali, I want to say thank you for inviting me. It's great to be with your audience. And next, for the audience and the voters that are watching, don't forget, voting has pretty much started because the ballots are supposed to come in starting on the 15th. Go ahead and look at your voter's guide. Look at the 3 candidates in this race and decide which one speaks for you. And go ahead and cast that vote. Don't forget to drop it off at the mailboxes. Specifically for voting, we do have those in different locations, and you can even check online to make sure that you can find the box where to drop it off. Please don't forget, your vote is your voice, and so make sure that the person that you're voting for can speak to your experience. Do not allow career politicians to use you They're not going to be answering your call after they get into the office, because for them, that's a ladder that they're climbing. But elect a person you know. When you make an appointment to meet with them and be able to air your grievances on what the government is not doing, that person is able to take a decision, and they're able to listen to you and bring a solution to you. That's what a leader is supposed to be. We're not supposed to be crown wearing leaders that are better than everybody else. No, 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 no. We are accountable to you. We answer to you. So elect somebody that can answer to you. Elect someone that you can hold accountable. August 4th is the official election day. But again, we have already started sending those ballots. So go ahead and vote early and turn in that ballot. And thank you so much for those who are going to consider me. My request, consider me based on looking and seeing and watching whether I can be a voice and a fighter for you in King County Council Chambers legislator. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My voters, you hear, August 2 is a primary.
August 4th is official. Yes.
August 4 is a primary. And there are 3 candidates, including Miriam Mboya.
Yes.
Do not hesitate to take your time and vote for her to represent District 2 during the election. Best of luck, Madam. All the best. Thank you for coming to join with me at Kidodi Broadcast. And I welcome you again for another episode. And take care of yourself now in Oregon. I believe you're in Portland, Oregon, correct?
I'm in Portland for a campaign fundraiser, so yes.
I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for joining with me. And today is our conclude of our episode with Madame Miriam Mboya. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye from now here in Seattle, Washington. Bye-bye. Thank you.